Hey everybody, how you doing today? It is September 28th, 2020, and here is an article from Newsweek. And I am working on a few videos right now about the lockdowns that look like they're coming, but I'm also working on a video about multiple articles and multiple people talking about in the mainstream that the lockdowns were a complete waste of time, even the mainstream coming out and saying that. So I want to get into that too and show you how much more division and confusion and deception that they're trying to put into everything. Okay? But this article right here, I was just reading through it, and you got to see some of the numbers in this, okay? Check this out. It says, CV outbreak on cruise ship's first voyage post-lockdown as 12 crew are infected. Okay, it's from 9 hours ago. It says, a dozen cruise members have tested positive for the novel CV on the Mein Schiff 6 cruise ship in Greece, operated by Germany's TUI Cruises. The ship has more than 1,500 people on board, including more than 900 passengers. Okay? Get ready for these numbers coming up. The ship was reported to be the first cruise vessel to dock in Greece after lockdown measures were first imposed back in March. The country began lifting restrictions in May. It says the infections were reported after 150 of the ship's 666 crew members. Do you think that is a coincidence? Yeah, I highly doubt that. Says they were tested for the virus. All 922 passengers on the ship tested negative for the virus before boarding. The 12 infected crew members were reported to be asymptomatic and have a low viral load, according to the Greek health authorities. Okay, so listen to this real quick. Listen, they were tested. Look at this. They were tested. They tested negative. So they are literally doing tests as you're going to get onto these, these ships and, these cruise lines and everything else you're going to be getting on. It's not just where they're just looking for symptoms anymore. Looking for a fever, etc., etc. They are making you test, okay? And of course, they're asymptomatic. They don't have any, symptoms. It says, in a statement to Newsweek, TUI confirmed on Monday morning we received positive tests from 12 crew members of the Mein Schiff 6 from an external laboratory. Says that the entire crew has not become conspicuous in the past 14 days. Says none of the 12 crew members had any symptoms. See? There you go. Right? It's unbelievable. To rule out the unlikely case of infection, the persons concerned are currently being tested again with our PCR, which is the polymerase chain reaction rapid test device on board. These tests are currently being conducted. The first results came out to be negative. Do you see how they're trying to do all this? Oh, they were wrong. Look at, they're blurring the lines, right? They're saying that this stuff is faulty equipment again, faulty testing, faulty everything, so that they can use all this when they want to. It says, in addition, we will take further swabs from the crew members and send them to an external laboratory as a pure precautionary measure and in accordance with the strict procedures for resuming cruise operations, which have been agreed with the authorities in Greece. The persons concerned were immediately isolated on board. Immediately isolated. Even though you have no symptoms, no nothing, you're not sick, and they tell you, oh, look at this machine just told us that you have this, right? Says the Mein Schiff 6 cruise ship is currently moored off the Aegean island off Milos, a Coast Guard spokesperson told the Agence France Press. Says, TUI confirmed in the statement, we will stick to our original itinerary and sail to Piraeus tomorrow, Tuesday, and this has been decided in accordance with the Greek authorities. Thanks to the extensive hygiene measures and clearance rules on board, there is no reason for a guest and crew to worry. No reason for them to worry. So how they just keep changing everything. Like, so these crew members had to be in contact with somebody, right? And according to them, if you're in contact with somebody who was in contact with somebody who was in contact with the first person that tested positive, you are now at risk, right? Well, now they're saying that nobody even needs to worry about it here because it was the boat was clean and it says clearance rules were on board. So I don't know, maybe they did not come in contact, but it just seems like they're always changing, the rules and, everything. It says the ship is expected to arrive in Piraeus on Tuesday. where officials from the National Public Health Organizations will be retesting the 12 infected individuals in addition to anyone else the ship's crew and onboard doctor determined should be tested. That's why I wanted to also put this in the numbers that I just showed you, but because this ties into the video that I'm still working on trying to get uploaded and get it ready to go for you, where these certain schools, what they're making these parents consent to, okay? And just like this, how look at it's the doctor on board. Well, that's exactly what it is with these schools. It's the nurse or the doctor in the school. It's not like you used to, oh, you got to get your vaccination, so what do? You take them to the doctor, you do it yourself. That's not how it is now. They are wanting consent from everyone so that they can give it at the school. I'm not kidding. This is in a bunch of them. I'm going to show you. It literally says, give consent for, the school nurse or the school doctor to give this vaccination or that vaccination or do that or do this. And they want to be able to do it on premises. They don't want to and they don't want to have to confirm with you either. After the fact. Once you sign it, you're done. They're just going to do it whenever they want. Please do not sign those consent forms. It says all of TUI Cruises crew members are tested before they board a cruise ship and go into 14-day self-isolation on board before starting their work. And in the course of the early warning system, the crew on the board is furthermore regularly tested for CV19. TUI noted in the statement. I mean, how many times are they testing these people? What are they doing to them? You know what I mean? What are they putting in this? Oh, man. It says, we have prepared very carefully for the resumption of cruises in these exceptional times. Love the wording again. Both on land and on board, and have coordinated all processes with the relevant authorities. In addition to prevention before and during the voyage, extensive hygiene measures and distance rules on board. TUI Cruises also has defined processes on board in case of a possible CV19 case, which are now taking effect. It says the latest infections come as confirmed cases in Greece approached nearly 17,500 as of Monday, according to the latest report by Johns Hopkins University. They're the only one that can report anything on these, the counts. It's crazy. It says weekly new cases in Greece flattened out from mid-April to late July, before increasing through early August. It says from then, weekly new cases flattened again until late August, before rising again through mid-September. When you sent all the kids back to school, when you let them all start up, playing all their sports, right? Even though we know this virus doesn't spread like they tell you it does. The germ theory, you need to look into that. It's a huge lie how these germs are spread, how these viruses are spread. So look into the germ theory. I will try to put a video together for that, but I have so much on my plate right now. It's just a lot to try to add, another video onto it. It says the wider picture, though. It says the novel CV has infected more than 33.1 million people. They had to get their 33 in there, always. Across the world, since it was first reported in Wuhan, China, including more than 7.1 million in the U.S. More than 998,600 have died following infection, while more than 22.9 million have reportedly recovered as of Monday, according to JAG. But, like we're talking about, we know what's coming. We know that next is they're going to use all of these sniffling people, coughing people, throwing up people, everybody that is sick with a common cold or a common flu or whatever else, okay? They're going to be, they're already doing it, prep and saying, oh, people are going to be flooding the hospitals and your clinics because they're going to have the symptoms and they're not. They're going to think they have CV.
Fever, cough, sore throat. Hard to tell which is the instigator, COVID or influenza. That's why doctors say to get your flu shot now.
While COVID-19 is clearly more dangerous than influenza, influenza still kills.
Dr. Cameron Kaiser said there's a concern that there could be a possible resurgence of COVID-19. At the same time, flu season peaks this winter. So they're stressing that people get flu shots as soon as possible, even if they're not perfect.
Let's take a really lousy year for the flu vaccine, where it turns out the vaccine effectiveness might be as low as 10%. Let's take a really lousy year for the flu vaccine, where it turns out the vaccine effectiveness might be as low as 10%. Even with a vaccine that badly matched, That still means a real world 10% reduction in your chances of getting the flu just by getting the shot.
When you get the flu vaccine, it doesn't take effect right away. Health experts say it takes your body about 2 weeks to build up that immunity. So those of you saying to yourself, whenever I get the flu shot, I get sick, think again.
During that time of building immunity, one of the things that could have happened is before you had that flu vaccine, you could have been exposed to somebody.
Health experts also say there's been some concern over 2 of the ingredients in that vaccine, formaldehyde and Thermacell. But don't worry.
They're in small amounts, and the research shows that it's not doesn't impact individuals in small doses.
2020 has thrown us a lot of curveballs, which has made life pretty uncertain. But what is clear as day is the importance of the flu vaccine. So whether you take the shot in the arm or you'd prefer to sniff your way to better health, it's an easy precaution that can keep all of us as healthy as possible.
Because flu symptoms can be very similar to COVID symptoms, they say getting the flu shot can help rule that virus out. Officials say if you do get sick and have any doubt, call your primary care provider.
The flu and COVID have several symptoms in common: fever, chills, headache. So how can people tell the difference?
Well, and what's going to be frustrating for, I'm sure, hospitals all over the area, but also these school systems as they're going to return to some sort of in-person learning, is differentiating between the flu and the coronavirus. It's very difficult with some of these symptoms to do that unless you have the test.
Absolutely. And there's no percentage in trying to differentiate, right? They both have fever, cough, shortness of breath, fatigue, sore throat, runny nose, the usual types of things, muscle aches and headaches. And although the percentage that you might get these in one category might be slightly different than the other, there's no way a layperson can tell which they have, and doctors often can't tell. In fact, generally, we would not be able to tell without a test. There's no way a layperson can tell which they have, and doctors often can't tell. In fact, so don't try and, actually one of the biggest messages from this morning is if you feel fluish, if you feel like you're coming down with something, don't just say, oh, I guess it's a cold. It sort of feels like my usual cold. I'll just kind of stay at home, and if some of the people in my household get it, it's not that big of a deal. No, it's a really big deal. It could be the flu, and it could be COVID, and you may not be that affected, but if you give it to others, it could be lethal to the other people.
Reason that's very important is it is very hard to differentiate the symptoms of COVID-19 with the symptoms of flu. So the best thing families can do there is to get their flu vaccines.
Exactly. We knew that months ago. We knew they were going to use this exact thing. We knew why they sent the kids to school. We've seen it all. You and I and all of my great subscribers and all these great channels, we have seen it and we caught them and we just keep catching them. But that shows to me that the veil has been lifted, okay? And that, evil's time is running out, okay? I always say, our time is running out because we're to prepare, right? When I say we're running out of time, that doesn't mean I'm saying, to the end of the world. That's not, I don't do that. But I will tell you, I feel like we definitely are running out of time to be able to be prepared as much as possible for what comes next. A lockdown, the mandatory vax, mandatory testing, mandatory tracing. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And here, really quick, I want to throw this other article up here. Check this out right here, okay? This is from itwire.com, and it says, the global network monitoring market is set to grow from its current market value of more than $2 billion to over $5 billion by 2026, gaining significant traction over the period to 2026, according to the recent study from one global market research firm. Think it's kind of funny that this network, this monitoring market, is going to skyrocket and more than double its market value. When, what are they doing? They are doing nothing but setting up testing, tracking, tracing, whatever you want to call it. They're going to watch you, listen to you, and program you at every moment that they can. This is just huge. You just see these types of articles and you're like, man, that tells us, so obvious what's coming on. Everybody, I'm going to end this here, get this edited, we'll get this out to you. If you haven't checked out the video that I just posted on the hurricanes that, are probable, there's just a few invests right now, but from what I'm seeing on, some of the forecast models, definitely need to just take a quick look at it. I'll leave it in the description. I'll also leave a card to it so that you can click on it at the end of the video. Everybody continue to pray against all of this. We need to come together now more than ever. Everybody stay safe, stay strong, no fear, no panic at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. Please do not take any of my words as fear or panic. I just want you prepared to, be as best off as you can when this happens, okay? All right, everybody, we'll talk to you soon. God bless.